Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 7 Dare County Board of Commissioners meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask the Reverend Wayne Berry to come forward for invocation. Reverend Berry, thank you for being here this morning.
It's an honor. On the seventh day of the shortest month, a month historically dedicated to the appreciation of presidents and Black history, let us offer our shortest prayer of the year. Let us pray. Thank you, God, for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you for our dedicated employees, civil servants, especially those named Employee of the Year or retiring with honor after decades of service. Thank you for these dedicated citizens who serve as our commissioners. Thank you for all of your blessings. Forgive us, please, for continuing to expect more. Continue to be with us in our need. Be with Chairman Woodward and his family on the loss of his mother, Catherine Jean, and be with all who seek to lessen the suffering of others. You are a great and gracious and loving God. Thank you for your friendship and kindness. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. May we stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. County Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Item 1 on the agenda is the chairman's opening remarks.
Thank you, County Manager. Just have a couple of items this morning. Just like to remind everyone that February is Black History Month. And if you have the time, certainly go online and read about all the many, many contributions that's been made to our country and respect those who came before us. Second item is I want to publicly thank everyone for the many emails and cards and letters and the passing of my 95-year-old mother. She was a saint, a patriot, and she will be sorely missed by myself and my family. We will have a service this coming Wednesday in her hometown of Portsmouth, Virginia. And I do have a special presentation I'd like to make, which will conclude my chairman's comments this morning. And in order to do that, I need to come down front. So give me just a minute. I have the distinct honor this morning of making a special presentation to someone who's well known in our community. This individual's been a dedicated public servant throughout his entire life. His service career began as a public school teacher in Dare County before launching a realty and construction company in 1975. In this capacity, he provided much-needed housing opportunities and served the tourism industry that's the lifeblood of the North Carolina Outer Banks. In order to give back to the community that he loved, he became an elected official and served Dare County as a commissioner for over 8 years. For 3 of those years, he was chairman of the board and provided leadership in prioritizing school funding, which made it possible for all these new facilities back then that we had, and overdue maintenance was also addressed. As a native of North Carolina, born and raised in Manteo, he's been a staunch supporter and advocate of North Carolina schools. He attended Manteo High School and went on to graduate from ECU. When North Carolina's favorite son, Mark Bassnight, retired from the North Carolina Senate, this individual stepped up to serve and accepted the responsibility to present the people in Senate District 1. In addition to serving with distinction in North Carolina Senate, he also served the North Carolina Board of Transportation. During his 4 decades of community service, he also benefited the state by serving on the North Carolina Contractors License Board and graciously shared his time and talents with his community by serving the Dare County Tourism Board, Dare County Social Services Board, Outer Banks Chamber of Commerce, Outer Banks Home Builders Association, Outer Banks Hospital Board, and the North Banks Rotary Club. By now, you've all figured this out. Stan White with his wife Susie in Nags Head, and they have one son, John, who joined the family business after college. Stan and Susie attend St. Andrews by the Sea Episcopal Church. On behalf of the governor of North Carolina, Stan, I'm honored to present you with the Order of the Long Leaf Pine.
Wow.
It's called,
Sorry, Chris.
it's called I Got You.
You did get me. I'm usually not at a loss for words, but Bob's been after me saying they were doing an award for my brother Ray, and he wanted so Ray's been calling me to make sure I got here on time, and like I say, you don't know how much I appreciate his public service. Those of you that have not been involved, you need to become involved because it's the greatest honor and greatest pleasure I've ever had. And I thank everybody for your support, and certainly thank you for being here.
Let's take a 5-minute break so we can shake this gentleman's hand. Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Always makes it extra special when you can recognize a native of the area of all of his service and everything to the community that he lives in, but makes it even more special when I was able to pull it off, and he had no clue. He had no. I called him and said, Stan, you know, Ray served the county well on the ABC board, and there's a special presentation I'd like to make for him. You need to be here and say a few words. He said, oh, absolutely, I'll be there, Bob, I'll be there. He had no clue. He had no clue. That's what makes it even that much more special. So well-deserved from the governor. I would like to thank Bob Mueller, R.V. Owens, and Geneva Perry for helping with this and writing letters to ask the governor to consider this. So once again, I know they've stepped out, but congratulations, Stan. County Manager.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, which is the presentation of the county service bins. First on our list, we have Robin Dozier. She's a public health nurse, and she's here to get her tenure pin from Jody White.
Good morning, ladies, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. Let's stand 6 feet apart. I have the honor today of presenting Robin Dozier with her tenure pin. Robin came to the Department of Health and Human Services in February of 2012 as a school nurse. Robin has worn many hats in her past, including being a realtor, an EMT, and a corporate sales rep, among others. But we hope she has found her home in nursing. After 10 years at the Outer Banks Hospital, she started her school nursing career at Manio High School and moved to First Flight High School in 2013. Robin received her National Board Certification of School Nurses in 2020, and that is a recognition that is highly respected in the field of school nursing. She is excellent in a crisis. She is calm, she is decisive, and she is intelligent. And I've often commented that in a medical emergency, Robin is the first one I would want on my team. As you know, the pandemic has been hard on our medical community, both locally and across the nation. Public health and school nursing are no exception to that. Robin has continued to power through, as has our entire DHHS team, with the invaluable support of consistent teamwork and intelligent, compassionate leadership. I respect Robin for her dedication to her chosen career and am honored to present her with her tenure pin.
Excellent.
Next, we have our EMS Deputy Director, Tom Francisco. He's here to receive a 20-year pin from Chief Jenny Collins.
Welcome. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thank you. So let me introduce Deputy Chief Tom Francisco. Tom started his EMS career really in 1984 when he became certified as an EMT in upstate New York. He spent time with his local volunteer fire department. He became certified as a critical care technician, what was called back then really kind of equivalent to our intermediate or advanced EMT now, in 1989, and got his paramedic in 1992. During his time in New York, he was a volunteer firefighter for 15 years. He worked in an ambulance service and did a stint in law enforcement also. And then he decided Dare County, North Carolina was much warmer than upstate New York and decided to relocate. He was hired here as a paramedic in 2002, promoted to a lieutenant in 2004, a captain in 2015, and a deputy chief in 2018. Currently, Tom heads up our training programs. He's also our health and safety officer, which is these last couple of years has kept him really busy. And he's our resident IT guru. He is married to Captain Debbie Francisco on our department. He has 2 grown children, one in upstate New York, a daughter, and a son here locally who manages a business locally and actually even owns a second business here locally. So Tom, thank you very much for 20 years of service with us and looking to many, many more.
Thank you.
Next, we have Tammy Reber, a Senior Administrative Officer with DSS. Tammy's here today to get her 35-year pin. So good for Tammy, and she's going to receive that from Chuck Wysett.
Wow.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Willer, they can come on up. For those of you who don't know her, this is Tammy Reber, Senior Administrative Officer for Dare County Department of Health and Human Services, Social Services Division, and she is before you today to receive her 35-year pin. She's also a mother and a grandmother, and some of her children have joined us here today, and her daughter hopefully is watching from Wilmington. Until 2 years ago, she reported to only one other person in DHHS, and that was retired Director Jay Burris. She is the longest-serving staff member within social services. Her first office was located in the community building located at the corner of Budley Street and Highway 64. She went through the original construction of the social services building, the consolidation of Department of Health and Human Services, and most recently through the addition and renovations at the DHHS building. She has seen the department move from a primarily paper-based organization to one that is heavily reliant on technology. Over the years, Tammy has worn many hats within the department, many of which she continues to wear. She primarily manages the department's finances and the complicated state reimbursement system that is based on how workers spend their time working during the day. She is responsible for budget preparations. She oversees the invoices and payments to multiple vendors and payments for our wards, foster children, and adopted children. She is the lead for multiple audits that the department is subject to annually, preparing documents, answering auditor questions, and locating more documents when the auditors ask. In fact, the last time the department had a finding in the single county audit was 1996. She is responsible for purchasing, serves as the security officer for the state computer systems, has served as the chair of the social committee, and in the past was our human resources person for the department. She fields suggestions, complaints, and feedback from staff. She is secretary to the DHHS board, preparing for meetings and taking and typing minutes. She is the conduit for information flowing from the department to other county departments, including finance, human resources, clerk of the board, and the county manager's office. She supervises a unit of staff who keep the agency functioning on a daily basis, and without them, it would be difficult for us to function. Her staff include a fiscal technician, front desk staff, translators, and housekeeping. Over the years, Tammy has undertaken a number of projects in support of social services. She and her unit were responsible for implementing a new computer system that tells staff who is in the office, who is not, and why. They took the program one step further and helped develop the system to connect clients to workers in various programs and for what specific services. When COVID hit, Tammy and her unit provided support to all the staff who were teleworking, ensuring any client asking for services was able to connect with a live person and receive services. Which reminds me, during the first summer of COVID, I asked Tammy if she would be willing to help out as COVID supervisor, managing the list of cases and making a few phone calls. As I remember correctly, we believe the numbers were staying low and this would be easy without having to make many calls. Tammy reminds me regularly about the number of calls she had to make on Saturday, Sunday, and on the holidays, while the numbers have remained high. She's done this while performing her regular duties. Tammy, thank you for stepping up and taking on the task. We know Tammy's time with Dare County will come to an end sooner, not later. She will leave behind large shoes to fill. She's been an integral part of building Dare County social services into what it is today. She will leave behind the void of being part of the history of the last 35 years with the department. She will leave the void in the depth and wealth of knowledge that she takes with her. Thankfully, she has already begun the process of preparing a succession. Tammy, we are thankful and grateful for your years of service to the county and to DHHS. I am thankful for all that you've taught me in your short time as your director and for educating me on the lessons of the past and providing insight into the decisions of the future. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Incredible career, Tammy. Congratulations. Just unbelievable amount of service to the county, and it's most appreciated, certainly by this board and those of your peers. But Chuck, you left one thing out. She knows how to spend her money. Look at that T-shirt her daughter's got on. County Manager, before we go to item 4, I guess we're going to item 4 now.
Yes, sir.
Before we do that, I feel
Well,
in the
item 3.
beginning of the meeting, I want to recognize the fact that we have our former Health and Human Services Director, Jay Burris, is here with us this morning. Jay, it's really nice to see you here this morning. Thank you for being here. And we also have the Chair of the Board of Education, Joe Taub, is with us this morning. Joe, thank you for being here.
Chairman, that brings us to item 3 on the agenda. That's the Employee of the Month, and Dorothy Hester will make that presentation.
Caitlin's trying to go out and take pictures. I told her she couldn't do that. Come on out, Caitlin.
What kind of court date do you have that I don't know about? My boyfriend's here.
Yeah, I invited Brett, her boyfriend, to come, and she couldn't figure out. They ran into each other outside, and she's been trying to figure out what in the world he's doing.
I hope it's nothing bad.
I think he told her he had to go to court, so
I said I had to stop by over there. I'm like, that's the courthouse.
I don't know. And we've got our department back here as well. So yes, this is Caitlin Kite. Most of you all are familiar with Caitlin. I am thrilled to announce that she's the February Employee of the Month. You've just heard from a lot of people who have a lot of service with the county. Caitlin has been working here since 2020, November. So she has about 15 months on the job. And while that seems like a relatively short time, what stands out is the tremendous positive impact that she has had on the county's communications efforts. I mean, just unbelievable. As the PR specialist, she focuses on web development, social media, graphic design, photography, and the county's branding and outreach. Doing her job, she has the opportunity to interact with a lot of departments, a lot of staff members, as she works to coordinate their web pages, prepare social media posts, design brochures, newsletters, and other marketing materials. Everyone enjoys working with Caitlin. She's patient, she's kind, she's smart, creative, efficient, and her knowledge and work ethic are beyond measure. Her ideas and designs are effective. I've had a number of departments reach out to me, the libraries, the Virginia Tillett Community Center, GIS. She's worked with them on projects, and they followed up to let me know that the work that she put in has helped them increase participation in various activities that they sponsor. The one that comes to mind was the Dare to Scare, where she was doing some social media advertising, spending just a small amount of money, but their numbers increased significantly for that last year. Recently, she assisted the planning department by preparing a packet of graphics and social media posts that were shared with the towns so that there's consistency in messaging for flood hazards throughout the county. And this helps accrue points for the community rating system, which ultimately leads to a reduction in flood insurance premiums for local policyholders. Caitlin was responsible for the launch of the county's Facebook and Instagram accounts in 2021. Y'all probably remember we came and presented updated social media policy, and after those were approved, she put those in place, and she's working diligently to share updated and engaging information while also helping our departments that have their own social media pages increase their engagement. She's launched the county's improved email notification system, which is called Gov Delivery, and this enables subscribers to receive information on topics that they're interested in. An example of this is, I think just last week, she worked with Dustin Peel in finance to set up notifications for bids, RFQs, requests for qualifications, and requests for proposals so that people can be notified when those are posted online. I think what really stands out is she's always looking for ways to improve our communications and go above and beyond to make those things happen. I think it's important to mention she's leading the redesign of the county's website that's underway. This is a huge undertaking. It involves working with all the departments to reorganize their information and pull it together so that it can be shared in a way that makes it most accessible for those who are looking for information on our website, our residents, our property owners, our visitors. So this is just a sampling of some of Caitlin's work. I think what I'd like to say is no matter what the task at hand, Caitlin is always willing to jump in, give it her all with a great attitude and a smile. Caitlin, thank you so much for all that you do. I hope one day you'll be receiving a long service pin because you are wonderful. Thank you. Caitlin is from Currituck. She's a native did you say Curritucker?
Well, we ain't gonna hold that against her.
She graduated from Currituck High School. Her family's still there. And she went to COA to get an associate's degree. She received, I knew Chairman Woodard, you'd like that, and then graduated from the University of Wilmington.
Well, I have a little more opportunity to work with her than most of my fellow commissioners because I'm calling them all the time with Dorothy in their office and working with them. And she and Stephanie both were just incredible helping prepare this state of the county. But every time I've ever called and needed something, Caitlin's always been very, very pleasant and very, very responsive. And we're fortunate to have you as an employee. Don't go anywhere. So thank you for the job that you do, Caitlin. Congratulations.
Her boyfriend, Brett, is in the back, and I don't think they brought the 3 pets.
Okay.
Today.
Yeah, he would have a lot of scratches.
Thank y'all.
Well done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item 4 on the agenda, public comment. Ladies and gentlemen, now's the time that's been set aside for public comment. If you have public comment this morning and you've signed up, I'll call on you. When I do, please come to the podium. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. The green light will come on when your time begins. The yellow light will come on when you have about a minute left. And when the red light comes on, you need to conclude your remarks. If you're here to speak about the closing of Beacon Road, please wait until we get to that public hearing to discuss that topic. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone here that would like to speak at public comment this morning? Seeing none, do we have anyone in Buxton?
No comment from Buxton.
That, Mr. Chairman, we would close public comment. That brings us to item 5 on the agenda. This is a public hearing on a request to close a portion of Beacon Road in Rodanthe. As you know, we had a public hearing on this a couple of meetings ago. We talked about it. We had some issues with the description. David Dixon, the attorney that's representing the applicant, has reworked that description and corrected the issue so that we can maintain the 20 feet of access we needed on that road. It also maintains access to that 8-foot easement, that ocean easement that was on the other end. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be added to that before we go into public hearing. I'd ask Noah if there's anything to add from our perspective.
Received a couple of emails from other property owners on Beacon Road, just asking, pretty much what the proposal was, explain it to them. Nobody's had any issues. Their biggest concern was, if, he was able to get the extra 40 feet of the closure, they had questions about where their septic would be, but that would be determined by a review at their CAMA and Dare County Environmental Health. So.
Great.
And then David Dixon here for the applicant. I don't know if there's anything you need to add.
I'd be happy to.
Come up to the microphone, Mr. Dixon. Thank you.
As Mr. Allen said, of course, we were here a few weeks ago. This is a dog leg of Beacon Road that runs parallel to the ocean. The purpose of abandoning a portion of this is to give room for septic setbacks so that we have a health and safety issue that's fixed. And there was some concerns I believe, brought up about access, and so Mr. Outen suggested that we mend it, and instead of abandoning the entire dog leg, we just bring back and leave Beacon Road at the end where it is at its most narrow, 20 feet. That was done, and then the thought was that because we have amended the decision that much, or the petition that much, that it would make sense to go ahead and have a public hearing and allow anybody who had any concerns about that show up. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but again, this is to address everybody's concerns.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Anybody have any questions?
Other than we've vetted this pretty hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby, would you read the order?
Well, I want to conduct the public hearing.
Oh,
first.
that's right. I'm sorry. We got to do that.
With that, we would go into the public, the public hearing. Is there anyone here today that'd like to speak to that issue? I see no one here. Is there anyone in Buxton that'd like to speak to that issue?
No comment from Buxton.
All right, with that, Mr. Chairman, we will close the public hearing, and then I will read the order.
Okay.
Okay, great, thank you. It says, this is an order adopted by the Dare County Board of Commissioners declaring a portion of the Dare County Public Road known as Beacon Road closed. Whereas the unimproved eastern terminus and cul-de-sac portion of Beacon Road is located in unincorporated Dare County, and whereas the unimproved eastern terminus of Beacon Road and the cul-de-sac portion of Beacon Road is a publicly dedicated road as noted on the plat for Southern Vista subdivision in Map Book A, Slide 34, dated January 11, 1978, in the Dare County Register of Deeds. And whereas the Dare County Board of Commissioners conducted a public hearing on February the 7th, 2022, to receive comments on its intent to permanently close a portion of Beacon Road located between Southgate Drive and East Point Drive in Rodanthe, as noted on the map of the area labeled Attachment A with this order. And whereas the hearing was duly advertised and the other notice procedures of NCGS 153A-241 enacted, including posting of the area proposed for closing and notice to the adjoining property owners. Now therefore be it resolved, the Dare County Board of Commissioners adopts this order declaring a 40-foot portion of the unimproved eastern terminus and cul-de-sac portion of the publicly dedicated road known as Beacon Road in Rodanthe, North Carolina, to be closed in accordance with North Carolina General Statutes 153A-241, and a certified copy of this order shall be recorded in the Dare County Register of Deeds, adopted the 7th day of February 2022 by the Dare County Board of Commissioners.
All right, thank you, County Manager. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to adopt.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to adopt, and by Commissioner House. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
This is seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion on the motion? Those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item 6 on the agenda. That's an amendment to the capital project ordinance for the town's beach nourishment projects and budget amendments for the final debt service. And Dave Clausen will make that presentation.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. Item number 6 goes back to the town's beach nourishment project that we bid last fall. The last time you addressed the budget for those projects was in September, and since then, we've had this will take care of one correction, and it'll take care of adjusting the construction amounts for Kitty Hawk and, well, adjusting construction amounts for everybody after Kitty Hawk and Duck decided to increase their cubic yardages. So it makes changes just to the construction amounts and the contingency amounts in the project budget. Also included is a budget amendment for the capital investment fund to adjust this year's debt service budget to what it actually ended up at, to what it needs to be, and then a second budget amendment to do the same thing in the beach nourishment fund for one portion of the debt was to improvements to the courthouse, which that roof was finished last week, and the other portion was in the beach nourishment fund. So what we're asking the board to do is adopt the amendment to the capital project ordinance, adopt a budget amendment for the capital investment fund, and adopt a budget amendment for the beach nourishment fund.
Okay, thank you, David. Any questions of David? Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to adopt.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to adopt by Commissioner Tobin,
Second.
seconded by Vice Chairman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 7 will be handled by Dave Clausen as well.
Right, and now item 7, we're moving to Buxton and Avon Beach Nourishment. Cheryl has a handout for you. It's intent, and I didn't get this done in time to have it in your packet, but it's from the beach nourishment model. We included this in last year's budget document, and you've seen it before, but the first quarter is on the top is the town's beach nourishment project. The next quarter of the page down is Avon and Buxton, and then the second half are the future projects. And the first page is graphs, the second page is just tables with numbers, and it's the same numbers. And it's intended to give you an overview of all the projects and maybe hopefully a reference sheet for everything, because there are a lot of different moving pieces with sources of funds and who's paying how much for what. This item is a resolution, which is the approving resolution, and it's the final step for the private placement of your 2022A and 2022 limited obligation bonds that'll finance the county share of, most of the Avon and Buxton Beach Nourishment project. We received the Army Corps of Engineer permits on January 13th. The bonds were approved by the local government commission last Tuesday on February 1st. I've got 4 attachments after this summary, and I'll go into each one of those in detail. You've got a bid tab for the Series A bonds. You've got a bid tab for the Series B bonds. You've got what we call the debt service number runs, which is the final debt service amounts over 5 years. And then finally, the approving resolution. On the Series A, that is the $22,138,293 county share of the project. And it's a 5-year piece of debt. We had 7 bids from 5 different banks, ranging from a low of 139 to a high of 1.97%. The winning bid is from Truist Bank at 1.39%, and it's callable at par at any time. The next page is the Series B bonds. We have a $6,356,736 reimbursement from FEMA. We're issuing debt just to provide cash flow until we get final reimbursement, because that normally it's taken over 2 years before. Like Hurricane Dorian debris, we didn't get our final 25% until after 2 years had gone by. So this is just to give us the cash flow for those, for that amount until we're reimbursed. We got 7 bids from 5 banks, ranging from 1.35% to 1.79%. The actual winning bid is Truist Bank at 139, because the low interest rate of 135 had an 85 basis point prepayment penalty. So the total cost with the Truist bid was, total interest cost was $291,000, and with the 135 bid, it was $314,000. Then the numbers run, it's 10 pages long, but it shows the debt service over 5 years, both in total and by each issue of the bonds. It assumes we had this, in the documents, we had to decide how to show this and how to show it to the local government commission, but it assumes that those Series B bonds stay outstanding for 5 years. When we pay, the agreement is with the bank that we'll redo the amortization schedule each time we pay, but it is our intent, hopefully they'll get it processed in time, that final 25%, to have that debt gone at the end of 2 years. But it kind of out of our control. Now, also this handout, you don't see any coverage numbers in this handout, but after the bids for these projects came in lower than the engineer's estimates, I'm saying at least $2,022,000 better than the last model run you saw. And I say at least is because we've included 5 years of interest in that Series B bonds, just because we don't know exactly how much we're going to end up paying.
But it's likely we're not going to
It
go
will-
5 years, yeah.
Exactly. It
So
will be better.
That will get better.
It will be better. So I emailed you twice with documents last week. There were with this debt structure, we are doing additional bonds as amendments to the Series 2021B, which pledged the Justice Center as collateral, and which was to finance the county's share of the town's projects. So you've had a contract amendment to the 21B installment financing and a supplemental indenture to the 21B indenture of trust. Those are the only two documents we're dealing with. Now, the final attachment is the approving resolution. Your finding and making statements of fact include that the board previously executed and delivered the 21 LOBS installment financing contract and deed of trust, and it's the best interest of the county to enter into amendment number 1 to the original contract in order to finance the Buxton and Avon Beach Nourishment project. The contract and deed of trust do permit the county to enter into amendments to issue additional, to finance additional projects under the using the Justice Center as collateral. I will note after this issue, we do have that right, but Regions Bank has right of approval from this point on. The limited obligation bonds, Series 22A and 22B, will be sold to Truist Bank. You've had copies of the documents that I just mentioned. You held a public hearing on January 18th, and we did file an application with the Local Government Commission for approval and have received that. The resolution resolves that Truist Bank as the lender is added to the financing team, that the contract amendment is approved, and the manager, the finance director, and the clerk and their designees are authorized and directed to execute and deliver the contract amendment with any changes which shall to them seem necessary, and the authorized officers are authorized to do all such acts and things necessary to comply with the provisions of the documents. Also that the form and the content of supplemental indenture is authorized, approved, and confirmed, and each of the authorized officers, which are the three I mentioned, are designated as the county's representatives to act on behalf of the county with the transaction. The same are authorized to obtain an opinion from the county attorney and other attorneys for the documents, and that the authorized officers are authorized and empowered to do any and all acts to execute other documents which they deem necessary and appropriate to complete the transaction, and finally that all actions of the clerk, the manager, and the finance director and their designees are approved, ratified, and authorized. So we're asking you to adopt the approving resolution for the two bond issues.
I often forget how exciting it is to hear David recite and read those statements aloud. I was almost going to ask to do it again, but I'll withhold my enthusiasm.
Compelling.
You are correct.
The resolution's rather long. Is the board, are we okay with moving? Is the board okay with this? Unless you want to.
Nah, it's.
All right.
I've read it.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion on the floor then?
Vote to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by the vice chairman to approve, and it's been seconded by Commissioner Bateman. Any further discussion?
I just had a couple of quick comments.
Yes, sir.
Questions. We've got about 5 million cubic yards between the two projects at Avon, Buxton, and the towns.
Yes.
And roughly $64 million. So we're just under $13 a cubic yard if you look at the entirety of the project. I don't remember this. Does anybody recall what historically we've been paying per cubic yard? I'm just
5 years ago, it was around
Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
So we're actually at 13 versus 5 years ago at 17.
Right.
Implying
And
efficiency.
The towns are 12-ish.
Yeah.
Buxton and Avon combined was 13 and a half.
And the other question was, we are floating, I'm taking the Series B bonds as cash only. We're doing that waiting for the FEMA reimbursement. So we're really, 22 million is the Series A bonds, our investment.
Right.
The overall project is roughly 30, I'm sorry, the county portion, excuse me, Dave, I'm sorry. The county portion of all these projects is about $30 million?
Yes.
8 and 22, a
Yes.
little over 30 million. And the $22 million in Series A bonds therefore leaves about 8 or 9 million to be funded. Is that out of the Beach Nourishment Fund balance?
Well, 6.3 from FEMA,
Right.
and then.
No, I'm disregarding that. I'm just
Okay.
looking at the 22 million. Are you saying then that our 30 million includes the 6 million from FEMA?
Yes, sir.
So, okay, I apologize,
And
I
the
misread
$1.5
that.
state grant.
So there's only about 2 million then that's coming out of the fund balance?
No, actually, almost all of that is a $1,557,000 grant from the state.
So the county is really only, okay, all right, I'm good, thank you.
All right. Any other questions today? Then those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Dave.
Great job,
you.
Dave. Yep, good job.
Just one thing while we're on that subject, Dave and I went through the beach nourishment model last week, and it is performing at or better than projections. So it has done well, and our projections have held up. Our coverage ratios are up in the 3s for the next foreseeable 5 to 10 years. And so all in all, the model is doing well. We like to look at it often because you never know what your cost or what your interest rates or whatever your assumptions are going to change. And as they change, we like to redo the model. But so far, so good. Everything's holding up as expected or better. So we're in good shape in our model. So, all right. With that, we will move on to item 8. And item 8 is a proclamation for March 2022 as the 50th anniversary of the National Senior Nutrition Program. I have a proclamation that I'll read. Whereas since 1972, the National Senior Nutrition Program has funded local agencies and organizations to serve home-delivered and congregate meals that help to ensure older adults have opportunities to stay healthy, independent, and connected. And whereas more than 10 million older Americans face hunger and isolation each year, and whereas local senior nutrition programs help older adults access healthy foods, nutrition screening, education and counseling, social opportunities, and other supports that encourage well-being. And whereas the Albemarle Commission Area Agency on Aging Senior Nutrition Program is an integral part of Dare County and provides sustenance and so much more to our older community members, especially those most vulnerable to hunger, chronic health concerns, and isolation. And whereas the Albemarle Commission and Area Agency on Aging Senior Nutrition Program has a positive impact on our community and its senior population. Now therefore, Dare County does hereby proclaim March 2022 to be the 50th anniversary of the National Senior Nutrition Program. We urge every resident to recognize older adults and the people who support them through nutrition services as essential contributors to the strength of our community. This is the 7th day of February 2022.
Thank you, County Manager. Pleasure to the board.
Motion to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve the proclamation of 50th anniversary of National Senior Nutrition Program 2022. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Ross. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
And that brings us to item 9, which is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes. We have the DHHS Community Child Protection Team and Child Fatality Prevention Team Annual Report, and the Sheriff's Office Budget Amendment for Human Trafficking Grant Award. We have the Government Education Access Channels Committee 2022-23 proposed budget. And we have a resolution to upgrade the county's list of official depositories.
Move to approve.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner House to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Tobin. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Next, Mr. Chairman, are your board appointments. You have no board appointments for the month of February. Your upcoming appointments in March, you have the Park and Recreation Advisory Council, 1 term expiring. You have the Working Waterman Commission, 1 term expiring. You have the Airport Authority in April with 1 term expiring, and the Mans Harbor Marina Commission with 3 terms expiring. And then in May, you have the Veterans Advisory Council with 1 term expiring, the Working Waterman Commission with 2 terms expiring, and the Zoning Board of Adjustments for Dare County with 1 term expiring. And that, Mr. Chairman, would be your agenda.
Thank you, County Manager. That brings us to item 11, Commissioner's business and County Manager's business. And Commissioner Ross, would you mind kicking it off this morning?
I would be happy to, sir. I'm very brief this morning, only have a couple of items. Initially, congratulations to all of our employee service pin recipients, but especially so to the 35-year recipient, Tammy Reber. Wow, what a testament from Chuck Lysette, huh? That's pretty special right there. And also, obviously, Dorothy, too. Congratulations to Caitlin. 15 months already making a substantial impact, which is also very, very nice to see. Congratulations to our new planning director, Noah Gillum. He was already here to help service us this morning on the road closure, so good for that. March 21 through 25, in recognition of and coordination with the National Senior Nutrition Program Month, the Albemarle Commission and our own Sandy Pace at the Tillett Center is looking for volunteers from our commissioner board. So I would encourage all of us to try to schedule that to see our community in action and help deliver the Meals on Wheels program. It's a very, very worthwhile effort. And lastly, I will just announce again, and I'm looking at Commissioner Bateman, as he and I are the two nutballs going on February 22nd at 10 a.m. into the water, and we're doing the Special Olympics polar plunge to fundraise, and God willing, we will both emerge and be able to come back to the meetings afterwards. But that's at Jeanette's Pier, February 22nd. Everybody who wants to plunge, and I'm looking at you, Commissioner Tobin, be there at 10 a.m.
Unfortunately, I have another meeting.
Ah, yes, a conflict. There is a conflict. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Ross. Commissioner House?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not a whole lot going on in the fisheries right now. They've taken all the public comments and everything on the flounder and trying to work on the next amendment for that. Some exciting news with the dredge, which I'm sure that Commissioner Tobin will add to it. And also our day in history, 1926, was nationally recognized this week, would be Negro History Week. And this was adopted by Congress and was presented by the person who is known as the grandfather of the Black History Month movement, Carter Woodson. Carter Woodson is reported to be the only direct child whose parents were totally into slavery, and he was the only one to go on as to become a PhD. Wow. So this was his contribution. Like I said, it started out as a week, and in 1976, I believe it was, became Black History Month. So it's due to his contributions is why we're celebrating that this month. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner House. Vice Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank Robin, Tom, and Tammy for their 65 years of service. Again, pointing out of which Tammy was 35 years, which is unbelievable and incredible in and of itself. And to Caitlin, who is our employee of the month. If you haven't had an opportunity to work with her yet, you should find a reason, because she is very special. I'd like to also say once again thanks to Dave and Bobby for all of the work on beach nourishment, and to Dave especially for all of the financing ins and outs. I don't understand how you keep up with all of that, but thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Chairman. Commissioner Bateman?
Yes, sir. Congratulations to Stan for a long time of working and giving back to the community. I remember when I was the commissioner in the town of Kitty Hawk, and Stan was with DOT, and he was their local commissioner here on that, and we would go to him and for monies for bike pass and help with maintaining Highway 12 and so forth. He was always stepping up to the plate, always doing something for us. He was very instrumental in couple of multi-use paths, one that went, I believe, went to Martin's Point. It was a pretty hard, to get the funding for it, and he stepped up to the plate for that one, as well as another one in Kitty Hawk. So always a giver, and we appreciate that. Now, like I said, look forward to the polar plunge. Is it 21st or the 22nd? I thought it was.
It is definitely the 22nd. I went back and confirmed. The date changed from 21 to 22.
And what time?
10 a.m., Jeanette's Pier.
Okay. I plan on being there, and I encourage my fellow commissioners to come and even root us on or to jump in with us. We're going to have a good time, and it's for a great
Day of
cause.
the week is that?
I think it's a Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
cold day.
Cold day.
And it's a
Yes,
cold
and
day more
in case
places
it's
than,
inclement weather, it'll be
Jeanette's Pier.
postponed. No, it won't be postponed.
So we're doing it whether it's raining or.
Rain or shine,
Snow.
snow or
Okay.
other, we're in.
Good. And congratulations on the folks with the service pins. 35 years is off the hook. Just in retrospect, I've been at Sugar Creek for 32, and that's a long time, and she's been there longer than me, so. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Couch?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Vice Chairman, for your remarks. That is absolutely phenomenal service, and particularly Tammy Reber. I don't want to single her out without acknowledging that she is representative of what our department heads and people who've been with the county for a long time do on a daily basis. To spend 35 years in with all the action and turnover and just the demands of that job is really quite a testimony to our employees. Without getting too deep into it, we have a phenomenal bunch. We absolutely do. And Dave also, and Bobby, and everybody in the finance department on the beach nourishment, it's what we do. It's the tools that we have to make sure that our economy, our beach economy, roles, and the fact that they do such a good job with it, with beach nourishment. These projects are resounding successes. I hear from people a lot of times that no, they're not. Well, yes, they are. Look at the facts and look at the stats and look at what it has done, how it has paved the way for this massive economy that we have here in a county that is not heavily populated by year-round residents. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day with our people that we've recognized here. I want to thank everyone for turning out for the when the Corps was here. I believe it was Wednesday. At Brigadier General Kelly from Atlanta came out to see us. Brought the Wilmington Army Corps head, Ben Bennett, who's very familiar with our area, but it was a great turnout. Jim was there representing the task force. I was there representing the waterways. We had turnout from Hyde County. Chairman Pugh was here, Randall from the Ocracoke Commissioner. Just a great cross-section of all the towns and communities. And it's important that you have those relationships. The Corps sometimes has their hands tied with what they'd like to do, with the realities of what they're funded for. They continue to be asked to do more with less, but those relationships are important, and we were talking about it before we came into the meeting this morning, that when you establish those relationships, there's a level of trust that can help you get what you need for the benefit of our citizenry. We did go to dinner after that at the Pirates Cove at Blue Water, and we were joined by the North Carolina, it's a Governor Cooper appointee, a cabinet member, Elizabeth Beiser. And it was just, we talked about everything, everybody on the table there. We were joined by Barton Grover, our Waterways Administrator, about Secretary Beiser's child and jazz dance. We talked about General Kelly's kids and how they don't listen to him, but he appreciates their independence down in Atlanta. He says they will mold into something good. Also, Ben Bennett. You look at these people with this military bearing and the military background, and oftentimes when you get in a position with where you're in a social position, you find out what fantastic and what great people and how highly educated and wonderful it is to talk to them. So it was a dinner that probably should have lasted an hour, 10 hour, 15 minutes. We were there for over 2 hours, and it was just fantastic. And I'm grateful to this board, and also for our working watermen, our people here that depend on the water, for respecting these long-standing relationships. Lastly, Rodanthe Bridge, looking like March 5th. I don't want to speak for the DOT. I don't want to speak for anybody in regards to that. I only say March 5th because they've had 500 respondents for the 5K run across the bridge. And I don't know where they're going to find all the parking for these people who are wanting to come down for this, but we know what a huge success it was when the Bass Knife Bridge opened in 39-degree weather and wind chill at 18. So let's just hope and pray for good weather. But this is going to be quite an event. I dare say there's going to be 1,000 people on hand for that. So try and clear your calendar for the first week of March so we can go down as a group. And thank you. Hope everybody has a good week.
Thank you, Commissioner Couch. Commissioner Tobin?
Thank you, yes. I'm going to echo a little bit, too, on our USACH meeting that we had. Those meetings are so valuable to have, just creating that personal relationship with those folks. Roger Bullock was also there, which was good to see Roger, and with his big beard. And it was really nice meeting Brigadier General Kelly. He has got a resume that's unbelievable, and he just received a really high award from the Army. I can't remember exactly what it was, but good guy, and also with a lot of the USACH regulatory people that were here, and Bobby thanked
Josh.
Yeah, for expediting our permitting that saved us quite a bit of money. And he recognized him in front of all of those people. So
Absolutely.
that was a big deal, and thank you for doing that, Bobby. That really meant a lot to him. Moving on, the dredge. I've got some photos of the dredge that are going to be coming up. And this first one is, if you'll notice at the very top of that picture, there's wires leading, or cables leading down to that. This is the day that they set the bridge house on the vessel. And the next picture is the bridge house set looking from the bow of the boat looking back. And if you look down kind of at the top of the hopper, that white thing with the silver in the middle, that is the hinge that they had issues with. The hinge is now complete. So that's another good step in the right direction. The next photograph is another picture of the whole dredge with the house in place, and you can see it's really starting to take shape. The next picture I had a little weird order, but this is them lifting the house prior to setting it. Also in dredge news, you don't see a lot of, the pictures are always the work on the outside. There is a ton of work going on the inside. They're doing a lot of painting. They're running all electrical cables. They're running heat and air. It's really amazing what's going on the inside too. Another big thing that happened this week is we were having a difficult time obtaining a survey boat. Parker, we were looking for a boat exactly like the Corps uses. Parker, that's Parker 2530 is the model number. Parker no longer makes the extended cabin on that, so we were going to have to deal with a shorter cabin. Also, there was issues, just supply chain issues. The supply chain thing is horrible. They kept pushing and pushing out the date of when we were going to be able to get the boat. We weren't going to be able to get it in time. So Harry Schiffman went online and started looking around on Boat Trader, and he actually found a Parker 2530 with the extended cab with only 40 hours on the engines, which is super low, and got it for, I think, $155,000, I think, which is a heck of a bargain. So that's a really, really good part. And also, I don't know if you all know, but there's 2 boats that ran aground in Oregon Inlet. They were smaller boats coming in the fog. They got tangled up and actually bumped into each other several times coming across the bar. So it wasn't on the inside.
They ran into each other.
They did collide, and,
Could have been worse, though.
Could have been a
Those were
lot
skilled
worse.
captains.
What's that?
Those were skilled captains.
Yeah.
They could have been
Skilled
worse.
captains.
Skilled.
And they still collided.
In the fog and in
They-
heavy sea.
Good gravy. Jeez.
But Congressman Murphy's office has been contacting me. You know, I've been in Tucson all this past week. I probably spent an hour and a half, 2 hours on the phone in Tucson with the congressman's office about strategizing on how we can get more involvement from the Corps at Oregon Inlet and also with the Coast Guard. So I've got more meetings with them this week, and hopefully something good will come out of that. And last but not least, Bob, my condolences to you. Your mom was a sweetheart. Really enjoyed the time that I was able to spend. It was only 3 times that I saw her, but it was really nice. And I'll be there on Wednesday.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Appreciate it. County Manager?
I have 2 things this morning.
That would be a couple.
That's a cruel joke.
First of all, we moved some money from one department to another, and while I can do that, I'm required to come back at the next board meeting and tell you. So we had moved $5,700 out of the capital outlay in the rubble line item to the capital outlay in the grounds item, and the purpose of that was to buy a backhoe attachment for a tractor, so that $5,700 got moved. The second thing I have on the agenda is it's time to renew McGuire Woods' contract if we're going to use them to lobby in the coming session. And the contract is the same as it was before, same cost. It will begin whenever the new session begins. No one knows when that is yet, and then it'll run until they adjourn. The old session hasn't adjourned yet, but we're not continuing to pay the monthly fee while they aren't doing anything. And Harry and I had talked about that once they really stopped doing business up there, even though they haven't adjourned. And so they've treated us fairly, and we'll continue to do that. And if you all intend to hire them, then I need approval for the, let's see if it's me or the chairman. For the chairman to sign the contract to re-engage them for the next session.
Move to approve.
There's a motion on the floor by the Vice Chairman to approve. Is there a second?
Second, Couch.
Seconded by Commissioner Couch. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, County Manager. Public Information Officer, Ms. Hester, do you have anything? All right, thank you. Our Finance Director, Mr. Clausen, do you have anything else for us this morning?
Just 2 quick ones. I'll be back again next meeting for the town's beach nourishment project. There's still one section that we're working with that were estimates, but we've got final numbers now on benthic monitoring, turtle monitoring, beach maintenance planning, and then I've gotten an emailed the document from North Carolina Emergency Management on the FEMA reimbursement for Hatteras, and they say it's going to be the cost of Buxton alone and not the combined cost of Buxton and Avon. Buxton and Avon combined were $13 and some a cubic yard. Buxton alone was $14.44. So that's going to be another $704,000 to the benefit of the Beach Nourishment Fund. And we've worked out the details with Bond Council, but my message is it's FEMA, and if you're okay with it, we'll count it after it actually happens. So that's my recommendation.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Very fluid.
Pardon?
It's very fluid.
That brings us to the close of our meeting, so I need a motion to adjourn until 5 p.m. on February the 22nd.
So moved.
I'm sorry.
So
Is that
moved.
Commissioner Tobin is second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner House. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Motion carries unanimous.